Hey.
Hello, my name is Mark. This is Maya, Jack, Cameron, and Walker, and we are Rate My Classes. Personally, I have no older siblings, so I have no one to look to for advice about what classes to take, so choosing my classes has always been a struggle for me. Occasionally, my parents would ask me about what classes I was taking for the next year, and I would have no reply because I hadn't even started to think about it, and that caused me a lot of stress. My sister, who's going to be a freshman next year, is encountering the same problems as I did. Because I was online learning freshman year, I don't feel I could give her accurate advice about what classes she should take. As parents, I'm sure you guys want to be involved in your students' or your child's course selection process. However, it may be difficult or even stressful when your child is confused about what classes would be best for them. Even after I officially registered for my classes and after the school year started, my course schedule changed a lot because I still couldn't find the classes that were right for me. And the course selection process can often be difficult for students like me. According to Yale News, 80% of students say they feel stressed during class and 70% of students say they feel bored during class. Much of this problem can be attributed to the fact that students aren't choosing the right classes to fit their needs. Overall, without proper resources and recommendations from a student or older sibling that may have taken the class, this course selection process can be very stressful and often lead to students not taking classes that are right for them.
Rate My Classes is an interactive course guide to assist high school students in choosing classes that are right for them. When users use this app, they'll be presented all classes that are available for the high school, and they'll be able to filter classes by department or even search for individual classes. And when they click on a class, they'll be able to see its class profile. Class profiles review information such as course classification, prerequisites, grades, credits, and course description. When users scroll down from the screen, they will be presented with this screen. These reviews are from former students, and they present information such as class difficulty, hours of homework per night, class style, usefulness, and reviews and experience from former students. To leave a review, users can fill out this simple form, and the review will automatically appear for the class. In order to leave incentive for students to leave quality reviews for every quality review that is written, users will be entered into a raffle to win prizes. With Rate My Classes, users are more efficient in the course selection process, and because of all the information they're presented with, it is easier for them to decide and are given information to choose classes that are right for them. This also reduces stress because the course selection process is ultimately easier, and it ensures students that they're choosing classes based on their skills and knowledge. Lastly, students will receive a competitive advantage based on their skills, and overall, students, including your children, will receive a competitive advantage against other students.
Parents of high school students are one of our main customer segments because they care about their students getting the best education. With Rate My Classes, they will be more involved in the selection process and know more about the classes that their students are enrolling in. Students grades 8 to 12 are our other main customer segment because these are the people who struggle the most with the selection process. Hearing what their peers have to say about the classes will be very helpful, and for students who have wide-ranging interests, this will also be very helpful because they will get descriptions of niche classes that they're interested in. Our total addressable market is $260 billion spent on education, according to Statista. Our serviceable addressable market is $11 million, which is a $15 product being sold to 750,000 students in Illinois. One of our main competitors is the high school course catalog, which shows the description, grade level, prerequisites, and more about the classes. One downside to this is that it doesn't show, or it doesn't allow you to filter or search for classes that you're interested in, and you can't see reviews on the classes. Our other main competitor is the online course catalog, which is very similar to the paper one by showing all the descriptions and stuff about the classes. And allows you to search and filter, but it doesn't show the reviews on classes. And it's important to note that when speaking to the person who implemented this into the Barrington High School website, they said it will be expanding to all districts around us.
For marketing, we will use
social media such as Snapchat and Instagram because we know that a lot of high school students are connected on these platforms. We will also market directly, we will email directly to parents and students, and all of our marketing tactics will lead our customers to the landing page. Another marketing tactic we will use are flyers, such as this one. We will place these around the school and at popular locations around town, such as Starbucks, the library, and a few other spots. Scanning the QR code will take our customers to the landing page, which Maya will explain later. After interviewing 75 students, 25 parents, and 1 counselor, we determined our pricing. 30% of parents and students were willing to pay from $0 to $5, 65% were willing to pay from $5 to $15, and only 5% of parents and students were willing to pay more than $15. With this, we determined that it would be best to price our web app at $15 for a one-time fee. Our estimated gross profit is $35,100, which represents selling to 2,340 Barrington High School students for $15. Our market share is 0.31% of the 750,000 Illinois students.
For our MVP, we will be testing both accurate pricing as well as the best features for our web app. To test these things, we will use Google Sheets to collect and store data, Glide to actually implement the data and create our website, and Google Forms to collect feedback from users. To test our pricing, we will automatically restrict users to only be allowed to view 5 class profiles when they enter our web app. After this, they will be guided to a screen that looks like this, where they'll have the option to upgrade to silver and view 10 class profiles, or gold and view all class profiles. And this will help us to gauge accurate pricing for our website. However, through Glide, we can't actually collect payments in a way that would automatically restrict users to only be allowed to view a certain number of classes. So if they were to click on one of the paid plans, it would guide them to a page like this, which basically just thanks them for showing interest in a paid plan and leads them to filling out this feedback form. And the number of responses on the form would indicate how many users are interested in a paid plan, and also would give us feedback on the web app itself, so that allows us to test our pricing as well as features. But to further test our features, we will send a copy of that same form to other users, which is just a simple questionnaire asking about what features they used and any other comments or suggestions. So for our goals with our MVP, we hope for just constructive feedback that can be used for improvement. And quantitatively, we hope for 350 users, so that represents how many people open the website in the first place. 300 class profile views, so that's just how many people click on a class, and 200 reviews actually left on classes. And to put that all into perspective, since we are testing this at Barrington High School, there's around 3,000 Barrington High School students and about 600 incoming 8th graders. So we have 12 weeks of testing. The first week will be used to create a landing page and our web app, and the landing page is useful for users because it explains how exactly to implement the website into your phone as an app. The next 2 weeks will be used to begin collecting reviews on the classes, and that's a really important step just because our web app can't really function without sufficient reviews left on classes. The next 6 weeks will be used to begin marketing and actual operation of our web app, and in the last 3 weeks we'll start to send out those Google Forms and collect the feedback. So we ask for $300 towards a Glide subscription, and that accounts for 3 months of usage, $15 towards a custom domain, and $100 towards incentive to leave reviews. And it's important to note with the incentives that we're definitely open to new ideas on how to actually create incentive, but we definitely have identified, as I mentioned before, that it's really vital to the functioning of the website that we get that. And as Jack had said in our solution, that money would go towards like prizes or raffles for incentives. And so in total, we ask for $415. Thank you so much for your time. Moving forward, we would like to have a successful MVP with constructive metrics that can be used for improvement. Remember, with Rate My Classes, students have better chances.
Johnny fill out a feedback form, hand the class, and never took it. So how do you kind of look at those feedbacks that come in?
We aren't really sure about that because students, assuming that they took the class and they're like leaving reviews to like collect incentives, like to be entered into a raffle, we haven't really assumed that they would do that, but.
I think we would kind of monitor the reviews and like look over them ourselves, and some of the kids are like our friends, and like we know that they took the class, and like we just trust that they're quality reviews.
Seeing a lot with classes also depends on who the teacher was too. So you could have the same class run by two different teachers or various things. I didn't see on there that the teacher was on there too, and the drop down, I don't know. But I would think high school would want to have some input on what goes onto the feedbacks.
What's the current method for students to look at all the courses that are available? Like, where do you go today?
So, in the past, like several years, they have given us a print copy of the course catalog, but actually just a couple months ago, they implemented, I don't know if you saw the screen with the online Barrington High School course guide, which is just the exact same thing.
Oh, that was theirs?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the Barrington, yeah.
Got it. So your app is similar to that, plus the rating system. Is there any other differentiator?
Not as of right now.
How did you settle on high schoolers? Why not look at colleges? I know colleges have a lot more classes offered, so did you look at both, or what was the reasoning behind the user?
There's already a lot of systems in place in colleges. That's actually kind of how we came up with this idea in the first place. There's Rate My Professor, Rate My Teachers, and then actually implemented in the universities itself, there's different like rating systems.
Is there any sort of feedback loop that the high school has for classes?
Not really, it's just a matter of like talking to your friends.
How does Rate My Professor monetize the data that they're presenting? How do they make money?
They have ads on their website.
Okay. And is there a reason that you guys decided that it's basically it'll be parents paying for their students to have access to, as opposed to like just doing the copycat and moving with ads, or potentially selling it to schools as a way for them to get insight into, like, maybe it's another way of evaluating teacher performance or classes, whatever. That may be the right answer. I just want to understand how you guys thought about that, like why parents as opposed to some other
that was
revenue
actually
stream.
our original pricing model, was selling to the schools, but as I said, they implemented this, and Mark talked with his counselor, talked with a couple different counselors. They said it wouldn't really be of much value to the school itself, and as far as like gauging teacher performance, we already take like a couple different surveys throughout the year, just talking about our teachers and how we feel about them.
You have a way of filtering the whoever can use it and enter data and all of that using an email address that ties to the school.
There is, but with the Glide subscription plan that we have right now, so there's public and private users. We collect their emails, but we're only allowed like 200 private emails, which is what you're talking about, restricting by email and address. So we can't do it for the entire school with our MVP, but in the future, that's definitely something we would look into.
How is this different than the surveys you say that you take already, that the school asks you to do?
The surveys the school asks us to take are like primarily about the teachers and not about the classes. And it's not shared with anybody or any other students.
So there's no transparency, because I find this fascinating. I get that's a real problem, just as a parent, but also the frustration that I saw in each of my sons as they were choosing classes. Because the guidance counselors, as good as they are, they have 300 to 400 students depending upon the enrollment that year. So I love this Yelp for classes. In essence, and in a way, by tying it to the class, it makes it potentially a little less controversial because it's not tied necessarily to the teacher. But, you know, just like if you're looking for a good restaurant, if you go to Yelp, you get reasonable comments, crowdsourcing, in essence, of opinions. So potentially, I think this may have real value to a school, because schools and school districts are responsible for improving and deepening student engagement. And if students don't like the class offerings, there's one way you can tell, nobody signs up for it. Or maybe there may, through this type of service, they may find richer input richer feedback as to how to make things better.
Maybe that's an angle for it, is if you could take out the personal element of grading a teacher versus a class, you might be able to get more constructive feedback in it. And the user might be the school. You know, I mean, a lot of these products, like you're selling it to somebody, but they're actually the product and their information and their feedback and their content that they're putting on it. And then your real customer might be somebody that you don't think.
The real customer may be the school, the user may be the parents and students. Does that sound at all like something you'd want to ask more, interview more, test that out more, or you've done that already?
We definitely could like further talk to other like administrators at other schools and stuff. That's something that we didn't really look much further into, especially after, because the school just released their online version like very recently, and so it was kind of like a little bit conflicting with our idea. We had to make some changes, and that's why we kind of took the path of going directly to its parents and students. But yeah, that's definitely something we can continue to ask about.
But there are always, you know, ways to improve, so that's great. It's already digital, and now perhaps this is an enhancement that could be considered.
Yeah, and I think a way to mirror that might actually make it more user-friendly.
Just a few points. I like how in all of your pricing tiers, like contributing reviews is even allowed as many as you want on the free tier, right? Because you're only going to give value if you have the body of data to do that. So doing that is great. In fact, another incentive you might consider is for every review you submit, you get to see so many extra classes, right? Or something like that to incent more and more to get that content going. I think a direct sale is going to be a really tough sell for you. $15 to do this kind of stuff. Maybe think about other. There's going to be a ramp up period to get to the point where you are valuable, and maybe during that time you have to sacrifice some profits to get that content body up and going, and then you can be a little more interesting with your monetization models. One thing, anytime you have free text on the internet, you're going to have to invest a little bit in moderation and trust and safety, because and you could say, I'm not going to, we're not going to include the teacher, but if there's a free text field, they're going to talk about the teacher, and they might say bad things, especially if it's Hogs. And then the last thing is, you might want to talk to the club board people about their experience with Glide and how well that worked for a while, and then why they ultimately had to pivot away from that. What were some of the limitations with that, just to understand that.
So can you guys talk about sort of a solution to the problem? Because I don't have children who are in high school yet.
One minute.
And I was in high school a long time ago. Do you have a set of core classes that you're required to take during the course of the semester? Or I'm trying to wonder how much choice really do you have to go to kind of get those reviews to provide insight? Meaning, what's core that you have to take, and then there are discretionary classes?
Yeah, so as you get older, you definitely have more flexibility. So the freshman schedules, they maybe have 1 or 2 classes where they really have like a lot of flexibility. But as far as like the requirements, there's a lot of different options that could fill each requirement. So like for science, for example, you could have like several different combinations to fulfill those requirements. It's not like one set class that you have to take.
And then, in your experience, how involved were you working with your parents in picking your class selections?
That's all.
My parents they'll always ask me about what classes I'm taking, and they made me actually like write out like a plan like a year ago, I think. And then I changed that a lot, but they always ask me what I want to take.
How about you guys?
I kind of agree with Mark, like my parents are very involved and like, I think what Jack said, it gives us like a competitive advantage, like having these reviews, so like we're prepared and we know like what we're gonna get out of the class. So.
All right, we have a decision?
So, yeah, what's your MVP?
4:15.
You can back up. I'm okay with it. I would encourage you to really try to dig in and understand what is valuable to your peers.
Just get content,
Yeah,
get reviews,
right.
millions of them.
So we're good with the yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same, okay.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, good job, guys.